What's up? Are you coming or not? We are ready to go. This is going to be amazing. You need to make sure you are in the room at the Owning It and Living It experience November 1st through 3rd in Atlanta, Georgia. Don't worry about next year. Come this year. This year, I am giving away a fully renovated house, and I'm telling you right now that I'm not giving away one next year. Not only will you learn from me, you'll learn from so many amazing people in the industry. Henry Washington, Kendra Barnes, Jackie and Preston Perry, Lecrae Moore, Felipe, Ingrid, Sarah. You gotta be in the room though. This is the perfect conference to merge Black and brown culture with real estate knowledge. We are going to be dancing to Joanna and learning all about real estate. You're gonna actually learn some specific strategies that's gonna help you scale to the next level. Go ahead, go to the link below and grab your ticket today.
It's like you're treating yourself, but in a way that's going to benefit everyone, including the people who you're sacrificing for. Yeah.
A person's wealth is determined by their assets, investments, and things that they own. I say true wealth is about how you live it. Your girl is back. Welcome to season 2 of Wealth Within Reach. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Wealth Within Reach, and we have a great episode for you today. So today, I want to talk to the folks out there, to the women who are stay-at-home moms, or maybe you're a stay-at-home dad, and you want to figure out how to leverage real estate to be able to help you bring in more income for your family. I have a great conversation ready for you today. I have Christina here. It's really kind of like the perfect person to have this conversation because after she took my mentorship program, within probably less than 60 days, they went from 1 to 4 units, like amazing. And so I'm excited to have her talk about this and be a part of this conversation. Yeah. Christina, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for saying yes. I like slid into your DMs. One, you've been constantly keeping me updated what's going on with your investing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you. Can you please come on the podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a privilege.
Yes. I'm so excited to have you here. Okay, let's start off talking about, tell me, prior to jumping into investing, what was your life like as a stay-at-home mom? What was that like before becoming a real estate investor?
The past 5 years, since I had my firstborn, my husband and I decided that, let's try this. Let's try to put a pause on my career and just focus on the home, focus on raising our children, and really just emphasizing that what we value in our home. Yeah. And so I was a stay-at-home mom for, 5 years, and the days were long. Yes. Short years, long days. But it was really just focusing on what are the needs of my children, my family. How do I set up my home so that it's conducive to the needs of everyone in it? Yes. And so a lot of it, as my children got older, it was making sure that the routines were, catered to them. And we're thinking about their educational experiences and stimulating them, which honestly became a passion project for me. It was something that, even though motherhood is never easy, it was something that I invited and was very excited for. With the learning curve, we just kind of kept it going until, things changed.
And you also homeschool as well, right?
Yes.
What's your homeschool method that you use?
So we started, homeschooling around the time that my child began to be interested in more structured type of lessons. And we chose the Montessori approach so that we could incorporate some of the values of the method into our homeschooling. So we do Montessori at home.
I love it. I love it. And so prior to becoming a real estate investor, have you been wanting to invest in a while? And if so, what made you want to invest in real estate?
Yeah, so I remember it was the summer of 2023. And my husband and I, we've always, like I said, thought about how we wanted to live our lifestyle. But life is getting expensive. Our family was growing, and deciding to homeschool also made it so that we would have to kind of have a space to do, some of the things that we wanted to do for our children in our house. And so there was like this pull to figure out, like, does it make sense to have another home?
Yes.
What would that even look like? We got into buying a house when interest rates were a lot lower.
Yes.
What is that going to look like? Am I going to have to work part-time or leave the house to be able to fund our dreams? Investing was always something that we knew we wanted to do, but real estate was definitely a new thing. Like we didn't know how to go about it.
Yeah.
And so there were a few connections that I made that led me to you.
Yeah.
And that's when the light bulb moment went on. And we're like, okay, let's see what this is about.
Like, we can do this.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to actually take us back just a little bit to like how you grew up. How did you grow up and how did that influence you being a stay-at-home mom, you homeschooling your kids, and also you being interested in investing? Did that have was there any seeds planted, or how did that influence how you guys like govern your family now?
Yeah. No, that's a great, thought-provoking question, because we are both children products of immigrants. And I'm actually an immigrant myself. I was born in the country of Panama and moved here at a young age. And so my husband and I, we both kind of understand what it looks like to come from families who are grinding and who are trying to take risks and also sometimes have failures, and all for the sake of the future, and kind of having this mindset of, what if we do something now that will pivot our children's lives? Yeah. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because I want to pay tribute to that dream that was not necessarily just seeded through us, but definitely through our families. One of the things that I think about is that for both sides of his family and my family, they were first-time home buyers of their lineage.
Love it.
To me, it's like, they planted that seed. How can we push that forward, so that our children can also reap the harvest of all of those things? One of the things that my mom did was go part-time. She worked at the school that I was in. So those little connections of wanting to be close, wanting to pivot her schedule around our schedule, so that the home was the focus of the family, and not like the other way around. So I think a lot of that definitely made us want to do things differently for our family.
I would say the same. So I grew up, my mom worked full time, but my mom was very involved in our lives. That was a big desire whenever I decided to become an entrepreneur, is how can I have more opportunity to be around my kids more? And so I love that real estate allows for us to be able to do that, to leverage that, to do that. It's so good. Okay. So we hear kind of where the motivation comes from, the seeds that have been planted. Your parents have launched you guys off to like carry on the legacy and to take it up a notch to the next level. So I met you during my 5-day challenge. So for any of you guys who are like, what is a 5-day challenge? I host this 5-day challenge a couple times a year where you join for, it's either free or just a very low price. And I teach 5 days on like specific topics in real estate. And the goal is to help you start actually taking action day one, after potentially like kind of just learning about it for years. It's a very like actionable time. So talk to me about your experience taking the 5-day challenge. How did you hear about it, and what was your experience? Are you tired of wasting so much time pulling data, reviewing comps, and trying to put together the financing to do your next deal? Guess what? You don't have to do all that. Backflip helps you to analyze properties instantly, helps you to pull high quality comps. You can actually apply for loans directly through the app while also choosing your best investment strategy. All you have to do is download the free Backflip app now and go on your way to make smarter, faster, and more profitable decisions today.
It's funny because we were on vacation actually that week. And one of the things that we did was bring grandparents along to make sure we had like little date nights here and there. And when we found out about your 5-day challenge, we decided like we're going to actually take the time to invest in like knowledge and I think it was like less than $100.
It was like $27.
It was very, yes,
Yes.
it was very affordable. It was less than a meal. And we said yes. We were like, okay, there's nothing we can lose from this experience.
And you guys showed up. I didn't even know you were on vacation because y'all were so active. Like a part of the 5-day challenge is you get these videos every morning and you're learning and you're downloading, but then you're connecting in the group and you're like answering questions and stuff like that. And y'all showed up. Y'all were very, very present.
Yeah.
I had no idea you were on vacation.
Yeah. I mean, we were having conversations on the beach about the homework assignments, just dreaming, honestly. Like one of the beautiful things about being away from your norm is like you get a chance to daydream with your spouse. And so we had those opportunities, and that's where that energy came from, is that we were able to really also get a sense. I mean, your community is live anyways. So a lot of the coaches and stuff like brought the energy as well and made us feel very free to have those conversations even on Zoom.
I love that. Yeah. What made the most impact for you during the 5-day challenge that made you want to continue on and join the community?
So when we started the 5-day challenge, we were thinking, okay, let's do this now so that we can perhaps buy a home, in a year.
Later. Let's just learn now.
Let's learn. Like, we don't know. So let's learn so that we can get ready. One of the biggest takeaways that I got from your challenge was funding and different ways that you can fund your dreams through real estate. Yeah. And so for that reason alone, I think it was worth it because it opened so many ideas, so many doors, and the time frame, they say like there's your time and your plans, and then there's God's time and plans. And so for us, it was like a very active, it was just exactly what that was, but in real life, we felt that happened to us.
I love that. I love that. So basically, you want to learn, and what was it that made you at first feel like you have to wait a year? Was it money? Like what? It was money? Okay.
Yeah, we didn't have all this cash that we were waiting to figure out where to invest. It was more so, let's learn so that when we get the cash, we can invest. And so those are the things that kind of challenged us in a good way so that we can figure out what other open doors, God might have for us. And so the biggest, reason that we were like, let's try to get into the community is so that we can get more information, but also we can get a network of support and people who will kind of handhold us until we, have the confidence to do it.
To go. I love that so much. Oh man, so many gems. So oftentimes we just allow like life circumstances to like happen and that to actually like throw us off from accomplishing our goals. And we're like, okay, I'll do that in the future. I'll do that then. I'll do that then. When we look up and we're like, dang, I said I was going to do it then and I haven't. And I love that you making a very small investment to get in the room actually helped to unlock what it was that you actually needed in order to pull the trigger. And that's why I just feel like I try to tell people, especially when they come to a place, especially starting off, if you feel like I can't afford it, when you're not realizing that your answer is around the corner and it's in the room, and it may not be on your YouTube you're looking at, it may not be, on the book you're reading, it may be in another room that you aren't in.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I love that so much. Okay, so you guys go from the 5-day challenge and you decide to join the mentorship program, and we're learning and we're getting it in. What do you feel like was the biggest learning curve that you experienced starting off?
So we, just to kind of give you a sense as to what happened in those months, we went from owning a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home through conversations, through, having conversations with you and other people. We found that we could fund a second home, build out the basement in another home, and we found a property that was like a perfect fit for that plan, which brought us from having 1 unit to 4 units.
Wow.
In one deal. And so with that, I mean, that sounds amazing, like you said, but think about what that means, right? You are living in a home that, yes, you love it. You've catered kind of like your lifestyle around your children and your house. And now you have to operate multiple units with different types of, guests and hosting, because we do short-term rentals.
Yes.
And so it was definitely challenging. I think, or part of us had this like adrenaline rush of emotions that comes with the thrill of something new.
Yeah.
But there's also the learning curve of we've never done this before.
Yes.
I think one of the misconceptions about real estate investment is that everything is like passive or that, it's like the extremes, right? Like it's either like high risk or no, like now I'm at 50 units. I don't even know how many units I have. In the stages that it probably took to get there, there's definitely a lot of investment that you have to put in. And when I say investment, it's in all senses of the word.
Yes.
And so
all senses.
Yes. For me, especially as the stay-at-home parent who was then pivoted to the manager of the business for the most part. My husband and I are partners.
Yes.
But kind of taking on that role shifted the way that we partner. And it shifted the way that I had to operate it with my time.
Yes.
And it also, I kind of like to think of, starting a business like this kind of like when you have a down payment, right? You figure out how to get a lump sum of money so that you can get the funds. And then once you close, you have to pay a monthly payment.
Yep.
So it was the same, a very parallel experience because up front, I had to put in a lot of time, a lot of energy. I mean, I had never been out of my home at 11 p.m. at night. Like, why am I out here
Airbnb
outside?
Yep, that's how it is.
And so that was the learning curve for me. And then how do I operate with my husband? How do we communicate about the parts of the business that he's actually, more better in? And what am I better in? And how do we play with mistakes and learn through those.
No, that's really good. So what are some things that have changed both like at home and just even your homeschooling because of this business?
So I'll say that when we first started, I had to put a pause on some of the things that were natural for me to do at home. So because it's a time commitment, there's only 24 hours in a day. There was a negotiation of time. What that meant for me was kind of like being honest with myself and maybe even grieving like a little bit of the lifestyle shift. Yeah. And also understanding why I'm doing this and understanding that it's a seasonal thing, that it's not something that I'm committing to forever. Yes. But it is going to require parts of me for now that are also going to, reap a harvest, like I said, later on. One of the things that I remember very vividly when I was in that season is that, yes, I was setting up an Airbnb and it was like 9 p.m., which my kids should have been in bed by then. But my son, he was in his PJs and he saw me and he saw that I was getting ready to leave the house. I was probably putting materials together. And he was like, "Can I come?" And I thought about it,
Well, you're supposed to be in bed because this and this and that.
But because I have this mentality of what homeschool is and what education means, and again, the value systems that we have for our family around training our children into entrepreneurship, it was a yes for me. And I was reflecting on how if my child had to go to school at 8 a.m. or be on the bus that next morning, it would have been a hard no.
Yes, exactly.
But because this was like part of the lesson, it was like, come through, like come with me. So he's loading the snacks and he's arranging things, and he falls asleep on the couch while I finish. But
he's like, okay, that's good, I'm gonna go take a nap.
But he's 5. That was a blessing for me to see that you're learning what it takes to start something from scratch.
And he's gonna remember that. I have clients and stuff, and I hear them talking about like, I grew up and my dad did construction. I remember going on sites, and they remember those times. And I just think it's so important. Like our kids are heavily involved in our business. Like they have been employees in a landscaping company. Our kids, they know like, okay, when we set up an Airbnb, it is all hands on deck. We're doing this, we're doing that. My youngest son is our property manager for our Airbnb. So he's like messaging the tenant, making sure the cleaner is coming. They're very involved because I think it's important to actually not only just pass down the real estate, but it's also important to pass down the knowledge on how to manage the real estate so that the next and third generation doesn't lose it.
Right.
But they actually have the knowledge and the equity and the sweat equity to know like what it's like to keep it, you know?
Yeah, that's life skills.
Yes.
And those things, you have to experience a lot of life skills to be able to work those out for yourself independently.
Yes.
Right? Because you're not always going to be around with them.
No,
so
absolutely.
It's valuable. It's so great. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So you have such a design eye. Like I love following along your journey. You know, you guys were renovating the different units and then you were designing them and setting it up. And I just didn't know. I was like, wait, hold on. I didn't know you had all this. Where does this come from? Like, have you done interior design in the past? Like,
No.
Okay, later on, guys, she's gonna drop her IG and you're gonna have to follow it because it is amazing. Like you are gifted.
You.
And I mean, have you thought about doing like design work or anything outside of that later? You know me, I'm always giving somebody ideas. I'm always doing that. I have that problem.
No, I definitely do love making things beautiful. I think one of the reasons that I was excited about homeschooling is because I can make my homeschool space and my children's spaces beautiful. But yeah, some of that energy kind of just channeled into the real estate spaces. Yeah. And it was definitely a great feeling to be able to exercise some of that creativity that I hadn't tapped into. Yeah. And I enjoy a challenge. So it was a lot of, Pinterest boards and research. But in terms of making it into a business, I'm always very thoughtful of what I would want to make into a business because my time is of the highest priority for me. Yes. But you never know. Yeah.
Never know. Who knows? You could be like Jean Stafford. Have you heard of her?
No.
Oh my gosh, you gotta look her up. She has a show. And she's out of Grand Rapids and she like specializes in kitchens. She did it like a little bit kind of like on the side when her kids were younger. And now, they're older, they're all growing up and they have a full business and she's like super successful and her kids are all involved in her business. And like she is like does amazing work.
Yeah,
so
I'll never say
it's
no.
always a time and season for things.
Yeah.
I love it. Did you know that not only am I a real estate investor, but I am also a licensed real estate agent and I have a team of investor-friendly agents here in Atlanta too. My agents are amazing and we help people buy, sell, and invest in real estate all over the Atlanta area. So if you are thinking about buying, selling, or investing in the Atlanta area, you can book a free 15-minute consultation with one of my agents and we can figure out where you need to be. Go to the link down below and book your call. So for the new real estate investors out there, I always say you don't know what you don't know, right? And so what are some of the misconceptions that are out there that, you've noticed with beginning your investing journey?
Obviously, there's the idea of like, it takes money to make money, right?
You're telling me you can't get your full strategy in a free Facebook group?
Right. One of the misconceptions or things that I think we had to work through was like really figuring out how much do we invest in that knowledge, invest in ourselves so that we can move through some of the things that are clearly attainable to others, right? Yes. But also understanding that it's not just necessarily about, having, a huge down payment or having all of these lenders knocking at your door, but figuring out, okay, who am I in the room with? Who am I speaking with? So that those doors can open up and perhaps, it is in the cards for you. Yes. Which I think those are things that I'm still trying to convince others, like my friends and family about, is that if us as a one income household family can figure out how to fund this, like that is probably likely for you too. So.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I love that. And so I know you mentioned earlier about just getting so much more when you join the community, not just the knowledge, but also access to like really amazing people that helped you throughout your journey. Can you talk more about that too?
Yeah. So one of the homework assignments was actually to reach out to real estate investor friendly realtors. So that was one of the things that we knew we had to do each time. We had to come ready and come prepared with our homework. And so we did. We started to have conversations with people in the group, and that in itself opened doors to lenders and to conversations around what is our capacity as a family to be able to fund some of these dreams. And that's kind of how it trickled into, you know, different doors opening. And then we actually were able to meet people physically as well, and, you know, have different conversations with investors who are way ahead of us, who can, you know, see our situation and see me struggling and say, oh, like, you'll be all right. Okay. Exactly. Like,
I've been there too.
Yes.
Yes. I love that. I love that. I know you work with you guys work with Jasmine, and they helped you. She helped you buy your next house, and she was on the podcast, and she talked and gave so much knowledge about house hacking and all the things. And then what other resources did working with an investor friendly agent, what else was she able to like give you that helped you further in your journey?
Yeah, I would say that she was able to understand our end goals within the journey. So there were times even in the deal that things were kind of looking shaky.
Yes.
If you remember.
I remember.
Yes. And she was very helpful in helping us see what our goal was, not just what was happening around us, but what is your goal?
Not the emotions of the seller. Yeah.
The emotions of the seller, even the realtor. And that in itself helped to ground us and help us see, like, is this still a good deal for us as a family? Because at the end of the day, the seller's going to leave, the realtor's going to leave, and this is going to be you in this house. So is this still what you want? And apart from that, I mean, just being able to visit homes and being able to, I mean, she jokes, and I agree with her, that she can like build a house on a balcony.
Yes.
She can
she
see.
Is savvy. She can
see, you know, as long as there's a window, she can figure it out. And so even that energy as we walk into homes, we're not just looking, I think if I hadn't had an investor-friendly realtor, you know, you might just look at the bones and be like, oh, this is so cute for me. But no, we're looking at this differently.
So the potential of the property.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. And then believe the contractor helped to renovate your property. So that's another benefit to working with an investor-friendly agent, is that they really help you to like unlock some of the resources and the other people that you need on your
trustworthy
team.
People too.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, trustworthy people. So important.
Yes.
It's so good. Okay. I love it. So this is such an important conversation about the power of saying yes, because I imagine as a mom, as a stay-at-home mom, as, you know, a one family income, there are so many reasons why you should say no instead of saying yes. And you have actually spent a lot of big moments with me. So like in addition to the 5-day challenge and the mentorship program, we have had, you know, a number of like in-person moments, whether it's networking event, we went on a hike, like we've had a lot of these moments. So why is it important to prioritize these moments and saying yes, and how have you benefited from these moments?
Yeah, no, and for those who don't know, we basically said yes to leaving our 1-year-old to go on a hike with Erica
on her birthday,
and coming right from a spa, like after our anniversary to come and like be in the room with Erica and some of the people in her community. And that's just because we are just very connected in our mindset when it comes to what it is that our goals are and how are those, you know, pivotal moments going to bring us closer to those goals.
Yes.
And risking, right? The risk part is maybe risking our comfort, or maybe risking, you know, I thought about that day, like, my daughter's going to be very happy for my decision based on, you know, what I did that day. And so I think a lot of it is there's this kind of like unspoken benefit that I think is just the energy of being in the room.
Man.
There's just something powerful about being in community with people who understand you
Yes.
and have similar dreams and desires, that rubs off. That
Yes.
comes across in a conversation.
Yeah.
And it's not just about like, well, did I get a phone number per se, or did I meet my mark when it comes to, you know, whatever your goal might be. It's really about like, this is inspiring. This is bringing me hope.
Yes.
This is bringing me comfort in an area of fear.
Yes.
So that I can step forward and continue to say yes and continue to meet those goals.
Oh, you mentioned something that's really good, just about how it energizes you. That is so important. Like I see so many times, like I'll host some type of event and people will leave and they'll say, oh my gosh, that was a boost I needed. That was a reset I needed. Or when we were hiking, whatever, and you guys were processing through like, you know, what's my strategy? I can't figure it out. And we're just like moving our bodies and thinking, or it's like, don't you have a basement? What's, you know? And so we're just able to like strategize and just like talk to each other. There's just something different about those impromptu moments of how they just foster that community, and it takes us from being like lonely in our little bubble to like experiencing so much joy. I just love that.
And another example was that you actually get to meet people who you can actually build with.
And you've done that.
Yes. That was one of the biggest, you know, benefits also. Is like I was here to, you know, speak with you, and then I ended up meeting like a plethora of like women, moms, young children who are at home, but also investors.
Yes.
And I could not have created that by like scrolling somewhere.
Wow.
And so that was organic. That wasn't even set up by you per se, but it was just something about people who are coming together wanting something that is similar to you.
Yes. And now you guys are on retreats and you're seeing each other often. And that's where it starts, you know, by saying yes, leaving, you know, behind and getting out of your comfort zone so you can like meet other people. Also, what you said earlier when y'all were on vacation, it's something about like leaving your life and going to another place. This is what I want people to experience when they come to the conference. Like when you're on a calling 5-day challenge, or if you're at home, you're having to deal with so many things in the background, and you know, I see people, the kids in the camera, that's fine, right? But when you actually pick up and you leave and you fly a drive wherever, you're able to dedicate 3 whole days on yourself, on your business, on your goals. And when are we able to do that any other time?
Right.
You know?
It's like you're treating yourself, but in a way that's going to benefit everyone, including the people who you're sacrificing
Yes, exactly. That's so good. That's so good. Okay. So just 2 quick tips. If there's someone here and they are a stay-at-home mom and they're like, I love my kids, but I really want to be able to express, you know, my strengths in another way. Plus, I want to be able to help bring in some more income with my family without having to like leave my kids. What would you say to them on how, you know, just based on your journey on what they should consider, and what are some like 1 or 2 things that they can do today to get started? Yeah,
I would say that even if you feel like you can't do it right now because, oh, I'm pregnant, or, oh, the children take up too much of my time, or, oh, I still have like not the best time management skills because I'm trying to do a lot of things at once. One of the things that I found helpful was to just really dedicate time to engage in knowledge. And because you don't know what you don't know, it's so important to make space for what you don't know and use that as a ticket to getting to where you want to go.
Yes.
And so basically like never discount something that something is not for you.
Yeah.
I see you, mama, like you got this. You have the skills that you have built in the home, in your children, those are actually going to be assets in the business world.
Yes.
Maybe one of the reasons why I like design is because I started in my home. Like I started thinking about what would look beautiful in my home, bringing out those gifts that are in there that just need to be stirred up, and kind of pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone so that you can, ask the questions that might be difficult to ask yourself. But it's possible.
It
for
is
sure.
possible.
Yes.
I love it. So what does owning it and living it mean to you? To me, it means that I'm actually investing in assets so that I can gain the freedom to be able to do what God has called me to do. And so that's what owning it and living it means to me. What does it mean to you?
Yeah, likewise, I feel like I want to live life as closely connected to my value system as I can.
That's good.
And when I can have the freedom of time, the freedom of finances, I can make decisions that are most closely connected to our value system.
Yes.
And it's been shown that people who live life and make decisions that's closely connected to their values, they're more content, they are more satisfied and just glad, like more joyful in life. And so, between making the decision to, marry my love, even at the age of 25, to deciding to birth at home and deciding to do things on my own terms, to deciding, well, we're actually not going to send our children to school. We want to provide the safety of education for them and all that encompasses, to now, well, let's see how we can fund this dream of ours. Yes. That's what owning it and living it means to me.
And it's so beautiful. And you do it in a very aesthetically pleasing way. I love it. I love it. So ladies, if you're out here and you are feeling not appreciated, if you're feeling like you want to do more and you feel like, man, my contribution is not being seen in the way I wanted to. One, I want to say that we really appreciate you. If no one has told you, I'm telling you, you are killing it. Okay. Even though there's not a job description to quantify your value, your value is not placed on like how much money you make, one, but two, like the value that you are sowing into your family will affect your family for generations. So one, I want you to know that you are seen, you're loved, you're appreciated. And if you are here and you want to invest in real estate and you feel like this is God's way of helping you to be able to help you guys to live life more fuller, I invite you to join us. We're here. We exist. And if that's you, you have to go to the link in my bio. I have a really great workshop. It's called Starting from Scratch, and it's a free workshop. If I were to start over today, here are a few things that I would do to get started. So you can go to the link in my bio down below, download their free workshop, start listening today to get started. I love it.
You won't regret it. Yes. It'll be the best investment for yourself, for your family, and for the next generation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
So where can people find you?
Yes.
And connect with you and see all your good stuff.
So right now I'm on Instagram, and I like to show snippets of our Montessori homeschool lifestyle and also snippets of our investing journey and just lifestyle updates. But you can find me at the Home Dulce Studio on Instagram.
All right. The Home Dulce, DULCE. Studio.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Erica.
All right, guys. This is another episode of Wealth Within Reach. Be sure to subscribe. If you love this episode, please leave me a 5-star review. I really, really appreciate it. I will see you on the next one. Hey friend, have you been enjoying this podcast and you're like, okay, Erica, how can I connect with you and other of your amazing guests that are on the podcast? You can do that within the Owning It and Living It Facebook group. I have the Owning It and Living It Facebook group to help to foster community with other like-minded real estate investors. Folks are sharing advice, I'm sharing tips, and we're fostering community so we can help take our real estate investments to the next level. If you are ready to do that, I want you to join the Owning It and Living It Facebook group. You can go to the link in the bio to join today.